All right, welcome to our Big Six tutorial. I have Mr. Jesse with us from Plano, and we are going to walk through real quick how to get to the Big Six, to edit it, and to use it in your centers. So the first step for the Big Six is logging on to the Academy website. Now you're going to want to do this from a computer versus the iPad because you're going to want to download files to the computer. So you have your regular login information for Academy, right? You log into that site. From here, we're going to click on Connect, and this is the part that gets a little complicated. I apologize; it is a little buried, but Connect. Go down to All Communities and click. That's going to bring up a bunch of different resources: human resources, bar training, bowl training, kitchen, party street, service, etc. So we're going to go on team member kitchen training. Okay, and that brings up a bunch of feeds, and you're going to see some different posts in here. But if you click on topics and then the April menu rollout 18, this is where you have all the recipes, all the Big Six, everything you need is right here in this area here. Looks like they made a subfolder. Oh, there you go. There's the Big Six. I apologize. So Martin was saying that they were working on this, so they have that subfolder there that actually has the Big Six, that has all of the Big Six in here, right? So let's start with my favorite, which is the prep list. Very passionate about the prep list. So the prep list right now, it is a PDF. It is not editable at this point. If you'd like an editable version, you can reach out to Martin, and he can give you, he's got an unlocked version that we can get from him, that you can go through and edit your pars and your on-hands. Okay? So we've got to get in here though, and as you zoom in to the Big Six, we've got to go through and we've got to get these pars established. How much do we need on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Every day.
Right. So how do we know how much we need? Where do we find that information? Crunch time.
Well, crunch time.
Crunch time. So inside crunch time, there is a report under sales, menu mix.
Menu mix.
Okay. And so actually I'm setting the Frisco site right now, but same difference, doesn't matter. Just make sure it's in your location. And then you can go back and you can look at, hey, what am I going to go through on a Friday? Or how about for the entire weekend? What do I need to be prepping on Thursday so that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm ready to go, right?
Yes.
So we're going to change our category to food. That way we're just getting what's important to us, and hit retrieve. From there, it's going to produce a menu mix that's going to tell you, hey, how many boneless wings I sold, how many bacon cheddar burgers. So you're going to take all the different types of burgers and add them up, and you know exactly how many patties you have. It's going to pull out your individual, from your banquet items above and beyond, but this is what's going to tell you exactly how much of everything you need for your prep. Ordering, you can run this for a month at a time and look at your candy to see how much candy, how many Mike and Ikes you sold, so you know what to set the par to for that for your ordering. So this report is so critical. If you want to go back and look at your produce pars, how much produce you need to have on hand, your prep list, how much to prep, your 24-hour shelf life, you're going to look at day by day by day. If you have something that has a 3-day shelf life, then look at 3 days at a time and figure out, what we want to get to is what can we prep on Thursday and freezer pull and prep and pull to get us through till Friday or Saturday. If it's a 4-day shelf life or a 5-day shelf life, then let's do it on Thursday and be done with that. Why do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So we do that by making sure we're running and utilizing effective menu mixes to populate our PARs.
We already know.
Mm-hmm. So if you have a random day on a prep list, and so there's 2 ways to kind of manipulate your prep list. The important thing is that you're doing it every single day, and not just writing what you need, but writing what your on hands are. And this is why your on hands are so critical. If my par for 8-ounce Caesar sets every day through the week is 8, and on the weekends it's 12.
10, 12.
Okay, say it's 8 every weekday. And what's the shelf life on a Caesar set?
One day.
1 day, 24 hours, right? So every day, my on hand, say I have, my par is 8, and say I have 4 on hand the next day, every day. What does that tell us? If I still have 4 left over, if I prep to 8, and I still have 4 left over every morning that I'm throwing away.
Now we start doing half.
Yeah, so we're doing too much, exactly. So maybe the par shouldn't be 8, maybe it should be 4.
4.
If I'm throwing away, if the par is 8 and I'm throwing away 4 every day, and I keep making 8, and then I throw away 4, and I make 8, and I throw away 4, and make 8, yeah, if I make 4, I'm not throwing anything away.
Yeah.
So that's the other way that you're always looking at your prep list. If everybody does it and they fill it out effectively, this is how you really get granular on your food cost. If you're filling it out every single day and you're using it as a tool and you see the on hands without even looking at the PMix, you can tell right away if you're over or under prepping. Same difference if every day I come in and it's 0, 0, 0. Is it possibly too low? I don't know. It's 24 hours, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the menu mix. And I start finding out I'm selling 12 or 14 salads. Hey, I need to bump this up, right? So that's going to be key. And as you see stuff, you can start to see what's going on. All right, and the reason why this is so important, team, and anybody that's watching this video is, guys, when it comes to driving profitability, when you're running and operating these centers, you want to be driven towards top line sales. You want to make sure that the guests are taken care of, that we're putting out the best possible food, the best quality food, and the best times, and driving top line sales, fresh, beautiful, gorgeous, whatever. But in the same sense, we want to be fiscally responsible. We don't want to throw stuff away.
Waste.
Yeah. So if you think about if your kids or your family or your friends or parents or whoever, you're spending money on groceries every day and it's just going bad in the fridge and people are throwing it out, well, why are you wasting that money? And so every time we do that, it's just about being smart. So that's where the prep list is. So what you can do from here is you can right click on these, or you can open them up, and then from here we're going to actually save it. We're going to click that button and save it. And so we have a folder set up on the old OneDrive. So you can set this up wherever you want. So I set up a little Big 6 folder. This is all pretty funky here. I am going to keep you don't need all this, but I will encourage you when you save it, you see how someone put the V4 2018, so that's version 4, so they saved it so you know it's from that date, right? Now that being said, if you can get with Martine and we'll get the editable copies, that's more desirable. So that was the prep list. freezer pull.
Push and pull.
So as you see the freezer pull downloading down here, we're going to open it up. So freezer pull has two sections in it. You're going to want to enable editing if you're going to edit it, but it's got the kitchen, the regular walk-in, and then the banquet freezer pull based on your banquet items. This is great. This, you set up your PARs based on the same criteria and crunch time and that we talked about. Same thing. If you're coming in every day, you don't want to be pull thawing slider patties on Friday for Saturday. They're not going to thaw in time, right? You want to be pull thawing slider patties on Wednesday for the weekend. So we want to make sure that as we pull thaw these, that we're doing it enough time to actually thaw. Pita bread, pretzel bites, brioche buns, those thaw out that day. Those thaw out in hours. Queso base, I'm going to put that in boiling water to heat it up anyway. So, be smart about what you need and when so that we're not force thawing, but in the same sense that we're prepared, especially when it comes to our big proteins. Steak burgers, salmon, top sirloin, it may be one or two. It doesn't have to be 6, 7, a half a case or anything crazy. This is, the proteins right here. This is where it becomes very, very critical to review your PMIX on a weekly basis on these items because they're the most expensive and they're going to absolutely kill you
Very expensive.
if you waste these, right? If I have to waste some pita bread, kind of sucks, but not nearly as bad as wasting a case of salmon. Okay,
Costs more
financially, absolutely. So same thing here. We're going to go through and we're going to save this one. And we're gonna let's see what happened. We're gonna go File, Save As. We are going to find our little spot wherever we created that folder. On mine, it could be wherever you created. For you, I've got this big 6 folder,
Everything. 6.
and I'm gonna get rid of all this junk. So it just says freezer pull, and again, I've got the V for 2018, so I know which one it is. So as new ones come up, you can go, oh no, yes I do have the most current, no I don't. But it is something that you want to double check periodically to make sure that we have the most current copies of the Big 6 in there. All right, freezer pull we just did. I apologize. Where are we at? Prep list, line check. Cold holding temperature log. So the cold holding temperature log is what we do to keep track of our items throughout the day. This is checking 2 things. One, it's in checking obviously your food, that your product is at a safe temperature so that we pick an item in the pizza cooler that we're going to pick in, we're going to take the internal thermometer temperature, right? So every cooler's got a hanging thermometer, right? So we're just going to look at the hanging thermometer and what does that say? And we log that here right here in the temperatures. Then we're going to take food items.
Like chicken breast.
Sure. So best practice is to take something from the top well and something from inside. Or if it's a low boy in the drawers, but like the pizza, you have your top shelf, right? So maybe you're going to check the protein, pepperoni, cheese. Yeah. And then underneath in the pizza cooler, you're going to check something that's inside, maybe a backup of sauce or something that you have backed up inside of the cooler. You're going to log those temperatures. If the temperature is above 41 degrees for some reason, temp something else, because what you're going to identify is it the product or is it an issue with the cooler? Because if it's an issue with the cooler, it can be affecting more than one thing. So I'm on the pizza station, I check the pepperoni, pepperoni, and the pepperoni temps high. Temps at 46 degrees, 50 degrees. Then I go over and I'm like, let me check the other side. And I go over to the other side, somewhere else. I check meatballs, they're at 40 degrees. I check peppers, and they're at 38 degrees. Everything else is fine. Then that tells me something happened with the pepperoni, that they went out. They've got high in temperature. Maybe the prep cook, they just prepped it. They just put the pan, it was setting out. So then it's going to ask you, what is the corrective action? What are we going to do about it? So for corrective action, we're going to move to a shallow hotel pan with ice bags to get the product back down to temperature. So this is the exact time, and then you're going to initial it that you've completed it. And so you're going to do that on every area, grill, line freezer, walk-in, and you do it 4 times a day, 10, 2, 6, and 11.
That's exactly measure what time, or it's only
General. So the 10 o'clock, you're going to put the exact time here and here. So good question. But this is the general time, 4 times a day, in the 10 o'clock hour, in the 2 o'clock hour, in the 6 and the 11. And we do that, everything is 4 hours, within 4 hours, so that we haven't exceeded the time in the temperature danger zone. So if anything that gets out of temp between 10 and 2, it hasn't been out of temp for very long. It's long enough that you can now put it on ice and actually correct it in enough time that we don't have to just throw the food away. Oh, it temped high and I threw it away. Now, if it was good at 2 o'clock and it went out between 2 and 6, I can ice things down, I can fix it and not waste the product. Does that make sense?
yes, sir.
This is a legend for corrective actions. These are the 4 things that you're going to do. You're either going to dispose of the product and record it on the waste log. If it is equipment related, we contacted tech service to repair the cooler, move the product to an operational unit. If it was within the time frame and it just cooled, this is what we talked about. We'll do the rapid cooling. Product was rapidly cooled below 41 degrees and tracked on the cooling log. So what that's saying is, if I do take that product and it's 41 degrees or 48 degrees, it was high, I'm going to put it on the cooling log and track it to make sure it gets under 40 in the right amount of time, right? Or if it was something that came in at delivery, we rejected it and logged it for a credit or a return. Kitchen vendor delivery log. All right. So this is looking for every time our deliveries come in, right? So what days do U.S. Foods arrive?
Monday and Thursdays.
Mondays and Thursdays. So every Monday you're going to have this. We're also going to check produce as well, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about produce. So on your delivery log, when it comes in, and you're going to log the chicken, so you're going to check chicken, pork, seafood. So your critical foods, your critical proteins, you're going to check at the time they come in and the temperature that they came in off the truck. Any corrective action if needed. If the temp is in the low 40s, it's fine. 45 or below, it's coming in off the truck. So you might get a little bit of heat index in there, but you're going to temp them as they come in, and you're going to have one of 4 corrective actions: disposed and thrown on the waste log, rejected and logged as a credit, damaged, the product was damaged, particle case kept, invoice adjustment made, or cooled, product was prepped to cool rapidly and tracked on the cooling log. If you have something that does not come in to temp, reject it. That's, if your U.S. food guy is right there going through it, right there, send that back. That's the easiest and safest way to handle any situation. So you're going to have the date, the day, and then the manager who's doing it. Produce. So now we receive produce 3 to 4 times a week, right?
Probably 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So produce, most of your produce is very shelf stable and temperature stable. If it's tomatoes, things like that, it's fine at room temperature. We cool it to keep it fresh, but when it comes to this, what we're going to look for is anything that's processed. Shredded cabbage, chopped romaine, shredded lettuce.
Yeah.
Because it's been cut, it's been handled, it's been exposed to more oxygen, things like that. It becomes a little more volatile. Make sense?
Yes, that's right. I know that because I don't have to. You know, this Monday we got the produce and we checked everything, and then we don't know how to do that. Like bring it back to the guy because hey, you have to call first.
Yeah.
You need to.
So if it's after the fact, if you didn't catch it right at the time, it's that's where the strong relationship with the vendor. So good question. That's where you call the vendor partner, Superior Produce, U.S. Foods, your rep, and you pull that product to the side. You clearly label it, pictures, if you've got lot codes, information, invoice, all that, and you reach out to them for a credit. Yep. And definitely keep your accounting specialist in the loop anytime you do that, because they need to be on the lookout. They can help you be on the lookout for those credits. And if they don't see that credit come in within a day or two, or they can help you reach out and follow up with that vendor as well to find out where we're at for the credit. So great question. Great question. So let's see. We've done cold holding, vendor delivery, freezer pull. We're down to the kitchen waste log and the line check. 2 biggies. All right. So the kitchen waste log is fairly self-explanatory, but there's a big part of this that kind of isn't covered. And so this is the date, the product, the quantity, how much exactly you lost, and then why. Yep. Each ounce, whatever it paints the clearest picture, you know. I wouldn't necessarily put that I lost a 1/16 of a case of burger patties as opposed to 4 burger patties were out of shelf life, you know. And this is everything that's waste. Now this waste, the most important thing is that every day that the manager is taking this information and they're actually putting it into crunch time. Because just sitting on the sheet does us no good. And this is where you're going to go through and you're going to create an inventory recipe adjustment. And this is where you're going to go through and you're going to put in your recipes, your information, and what you lost. And that's really, really, really important to log that waste. Now, I will tell you, there is a misconception out there that by putting it on the waste log that you get credit for it in your food costs or your actual versus theoretical. That is not the case. If you were supposed to have 50 pounds of chicken and you wasted 10 and you only have 40, you're still going to be 10 short, but it will show that 10 pounds was waste. But you're still going to be 10 pounds short either way. So it doesn't do anything miraculous. People get excited about, I've got to log that as waste. That's my food cost. Well, logging it as waste is important, but it's important so that you can track what you're wasting. So if you're wasting a bunch of product, that should tell you that there's something wrong in either your ordering pars, your freezer pull pars, your prep list pars. See, the waste is a telltale sign that something else, that there's a par somewhere that's not correct. Now, the only way for all of this to work together, and why I have such a maniacal focus on the Big Six, is the only way for this to work is if everybody is using it every single time. Because if Anselma decides, I'm just going to prep 10 cases of this, I don't care what Jesse put on the sheet, and you start coming in every day and you're throwing product out and you're going, well, that doesn't make sense. The par is only this. Why am I throwing out so much every single day? Well, if they're prepping, if your cooks are prepping whatever they feel like, and they're not following the list, then you don't know if your list is accurate or not. And that's when you get into the point where nobody follows the list, and it's inside of everybody's head. Or you get the, hey, how much do you prep? I prep a little less on through the week and a little more on the weekend.
But you know how,
Exactly, right. You know, it should be 7 salmons on a Friday and 9 salmons on a Saturday and 5 salmons on a Sunday. And we have the data to tell us exactly what it should be, right?
Looking good, Big Six.
So, line check.
My favorite.
The most important. This is the check mark field day right here. So, I don't know if they got the legend back on here or not. No. So, line check. Super, super critical. Sorry, I didn't turn the alerts off here. I can't get to my stuff. There we go. So, line check. Wildly critical. First thing that you need to do is to get it in order. Just like your prep list and your pull flaws, everybody's cooler is a little bit different. So it doesn't make sense to have everything in the same order. That's why we need the unlocked sheets from Martine, and so that we can put things in order so that it's sheet to shelf. If you've got to walk from one end of the kitchen to the other in order to fill out a prep list or a line, it's going to be hard to get buy-in for these. Now the prep list is locked. There is no unlocked version. But if you just walk through and put these in order, so if you go through your pizza cutting station and you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, and then maybe this one's a 5, this one's a 6, 7's over here. This one needs to move to the cutting station position 4.5. If you write just to the right here on the Wednesday section what order it should be in, and you email that to Martin Fabian, he will put it in sort order for you. We don't want an unlocked version because the shelf lives and the tools and all of that are locked in, and we don't want all of that and the descriptions messed up. And we don't want 70 versions of the line check out there. We want one version, so he'll help us put it in order. But the 7 tools of the great line check, the biotherm, pencil, highlighter, scale, index card, tasting spoons, and surface thermometer. We've got to have everything out there. And to me, I think the index cards are so critical because that is for you to write down what needs to be done. Just going through and writing that, hey, this is out of date, or this is out of stock, or this needs to be stocked up or filled or brought back to temp, does no good from a manager or supervisor standpoint if we don't get it to who's working that station on the line to fix it. Right? So the index card is something I go through the pizza station and I see this and this is wrong, and I hand that to Anselma and I say, hey, would you make sure this gets stocked? Let's get a label on this. I know you just prepped it. Let's 86 this and prep it new. It's from yesterday. So she has to have that list that you go through so she knows this is what I have to do. And then you go to grill and fry and you go, Hector, here's, I need you to do this. Yeah, exactly.
Portion it, clean.
Yep. Whatever it is, that this is your list. And yeah, if you've got something that needs to be cleaned or detailed, that's the time.
The right tools.
Yep, exactly. So this is what you need. This is what you need to do. You need to give that to them. And I'll tell you this. I would tell them, when you're done with this list, bring this back to me. I want it back. So now you can validate that all of that stuff is done. Because it's not enough just to identify that there's an issue. We have to fix it. And so same thing here pertains to the line check as the prep list and everything else. If you start seeing the same issues, if everybody's doing this every day and you're seeing the same issues over and over again, this isn't being stocked, this isn't being prepped, this isn't being portioned, this is consistently dirty. We've got to go back and look at opening duties, closing duties. Do we have enough people on? What's the root cause of the problem that we're seeing a consistent issue with cornmeal or candied pecans or whatever it might be?
For example, like if I saw like water bottle supply like label like expired,
Yeah.
like market like wrong,
Right.
and then I'm gonna do something. Hey, need to do this. Exactly.
Yes.
Fix it by market.
Yes.
Like it's not right,
Yes.
and then need to know about
Exactly. I think too many people spend time trying to fix everything so that they can have a perfect line check, and that's not the goal. Especially our kitchen supervisors and our kitchen leads, I see them go through it and it's missing a label, so they go print a label, put a label on, and then they go to the next thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then this is missing this, so then they go and they fix this and that,
Learn about it.
and then that's when I get a sea of check marks.
Yes.
Everything's good. Well, everything's good because you fixed it.
Yeah.
But what you didn't do was fix the problem.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
They need to fix it.
They need to know that it's unacceptable for that water bottle to be unlabeled.
Yes.
They need to know that it's not okay for the basil to be used from the night before. That they've got to chop that parsley fresh every day. Don't chop, 10 bunches of parsley so that you're all set for the week, and then I've got to throw it out every day. Now I'm out of parsley.
Yeah.
2 days in, because 10 bunches will last me a week, and I'm out of parsley 2 days in because we decided to prep half pan of parsley.
Yeah. It's only one day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So that's where the line check becomes so important. It's not about getting it right. It's not a report card. I'm not going to come in and look at your line check, and if I see something wrong, we're going to freak out. No,
Fix it.
that's fine. It's okay. There's always going to be a couple of things wrong. When I see the sea of check marks on these documents on the Big Six, that's when I know something's truly wrong. We're not using the tools.
So you see perfectly. That's right.
Yeah.
Wrong over here.
So ran a little bit over on time, but that's the Big Six in a nutshell. As they come up, I showed you how to download them. If you need any help with them, you can reach out to your general manager, myself, Martin Fabian. He is the owner of the Big Six to help out with this kind of stuff. You can reach him via email. Everybody's got my phone number. I'm here to support, but most importantly, we've got to make the Big Six a living, breathing part of what we do every single day. This is something that we have to follow up on, guys. This food safety, there's two parts to the Big Six. It's food quality and food safety. Food quality, without the food quality, we're all going to be out of a job, because we're not going to be able to drive top line sales. We've got to have the best food quality if we're going to drive top line sales. If you need proof of that, look at our menu and look at the prices. Our food is not cheap.
Not cheap.
It's not cheap at all. You're paying almost for convenience because you're going to dine here. You don't have to go somewhere else. But the quality has to match the price. The other part is the food safety. And if you screw up in food safety, people die. People get sick and people die. And that we absolutely can't. Because I can replace everything inside of a main event except a human life. Cannot replace a human life. So, critically important. Thank you guys all for your time today. I appreciate anybody that's watching or listening to this, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.